Welcome to Interdisciplinary Case Miles, a podcast where real runner stories meet clinical expertise. We discuss real cases that are anything from weekend warriors all the way to elite athletes, while using our evidence-informed approach.
I'm Dr. Sara Raiser, a running medicine physician focusing on helping runners prevent and recover from running-related injuries while optimizing health and performance.
I'm Kelsey Pontius, a sports dietitian helping runners to fuel smarter, recover better, and help avoid the risk of injury so that they can meet their goals.
And I'm Dr. Mihevc Edwards. I'm a physical therapist and orthopedic specialist, and I've been treating for runners for over 15 years. And what I do is help them get back stronger and better. So we are usually doing episodes about running injury and taking specific cases and breaking them down from an interdisciplinary standpoint. So we love doing that. And we also recognize that we really don't want people to get injured in the first place. And so this episode's going to take a little bit of a different spin because it's the summer and a lot of things change in the summer. We are going to talk about what 3 mistakes people make over the summer that can contribute to injury in the fall. And so we're each going to talk about one of those mistakes that we see in our clinic and how we can maybe mitigate that risk so that you guys can leave here with 3 things that you guys can do to help prevent injury when you start training for some big races in the fall. And that means maybe a marathon, or maybe it's somebody, you're a cross country runner at a high school and you're getting back into your cross country season. So this can be for any runner of any age. And here we go. So why don't we start with you, Kelsey?
Yes. Talking about the different demographics that this can be helpful for. A lot of my high school and college runners, they not as many responsibilities during the summer. So a big challenge that I see is that they're staying up late, sleeping in, and they end up sleeping through a meal. So that's a big one that I talk to high schoolers specifically about, is making sure if you are sleeping in that we're fitting in nutrition to make up for that missed meal somewhere, or at least having a time that you're waking up by. The other thing that I think fits all populations is doing that hard summer training is really stressful on the body. And so doing this style of training, the appetite cues that we typically get come from hormones. And those hormones are ghrelin and leptin. There's other ones too that influence our appetite, and those are down regulated. And a lot of that is because of the stress, because your body doesn't know, like, hey, I'm choosing to be a good runner and this is a voluntary decision, versus, hey, you're being chased by a tiger and need to get away. We don't want to distract you with hunger cues. And so appetite is downregulated and not really feeling hungry. And so sometimes I see some underfueling as a result of the suppressed appetite. So just knowing that traditional tummy hunger isn't necessarily always the best cue for appetite, and really trying to fuel every 2 to 4 hours. You can get creative with liquid calories if you need to, or foods that are a little bit more palatable if you need to be more flexible with your nutrition. I had cereal this morning, just something cold sounded good with fruit. So just being flexible with your nutrition to make sure that you're getting it in, and also looking for other cues for hunger, which isn't just the tummy hunger, but headaches, irritability, not being able to focus. Sometimes people get like a dull ache in their throat, and stuff like that can also be symptoms of hunger.
Awesome. Thank you. And the heat, because it's so hot out. That's what when we were talking about earlier, I was like, yes. What do you mean appetite suppression? And you said because of heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so a little off the topic, but my kiddo is going to camp and it's hot. And I literally have to think about what would sound good to me if it was hot. Because if I send him stuff that's heavy, he's not going to eat it. So I'm literally having the exact same thought of, like, how can I make sure he gets calories in when it's hot outside and they're busy and not thinking about hunger cues.
And most of the time you can't pack them nuts because somebody has a nut allergy.
That's right. I had to do smoothie because my son's at soccer camp. And, you told me all these things I needed to do, or I could do for him in soccer, because he doesn't eat enough, because he's always, always, always hungry. And so I was thinking the same thing. He's out playing in the heat all day. What am I going to do to make sure that he gets enough nutrition? Because he tells me he's not hungry. So
good job, Mom.
Yeah, thanks. But I think that's a really good point, Kelsey. So thank you for yours. I'm going to go next. And the thing I want to talk about is consistency. And I do think that this can be very hard in the summer because we are traveling, we're not on our typical schedules, whether it's because we're not in school or if it's because we're parents and our kids are not in school, or maybe work trips aren't happening as much and you're getting to do more fun things and you're traveling around the world or you're going to the World Cup, whatever it is. I think that consistency is really important. One of the number one reasons people get injured is because of a major spike in their training. And a major spike in your training can happen if you haven't had a consistent training schedule during the summer. And then all of a sudden you decide to train for a big race. So you're going to say, oh, in May, I used to run 10 miles every Saturday. So now I'm going to run 10 miles this Saturday and I'm going to pick up where I left off. And that's a major mistake. And that's why a lot of people get injured right before they start fall marathon training. So I would say, even if you can't do as much as you were doing previously because of your busy travel schedule, I would say, go ahead and run at least 3 days a week. And during those 3 days, it can be 1 mile, it could be 2 miles, it could be 3 miles. If it's too hot, go on the treadmill. Or wake up earlier or go later at night. Whatever you have to do to just get some time on your feet a few times a week will be really, really helpful. And the second piece of that is continue your strength training. If you're traveling, find a hotel gym. I go in the hotel gym all the time. Even if they don't have everything that you're used to, do body weight instead of not doing something at all. And the other thing I usually do myself, like somewhere between 9 and 12 exercises when I work out in the gym. Sometimes when I'm traveling, I do 3 exercises. That's it. 3 exercises. I'm still doing exercises. I'm doing single leg strength, but I'm doing something. So my message is to help prevent some injury in the fall. Be consistent with both your strength training and your actual training mileage. Sarah?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go please.
With the running component too, something that helps me when it's hot and you're slowing down and you might not feel motivated because it's hot is instead of distance going by time and just saying, I'm going to go out for 30 minutes. And I don't care if it's a walk jog. I don't care if I go slow, but I can be done in 30 minutes if you're not feeling it.
Yeah, I think all those adjustments make a big difference. And even thinking about like the times that I felt kind of burned out with running is when I'm just like holding myself to the fire with every run, right? And that's not, number one, it's not good training practices, but it also burns us out mentally. And then over the summer, you can definitely end up taking a dive if you're doing too much. So my point or my tip is to make sure that you're recovering. So that goes along with both of the things that you were talking about. So making sure you're getting sufficient nutrition, and hunger cues may not be able to tell you that. Same thing with thirst and hydration. And then making sure you're not training too hard over summer. So what is the goal over summer? Generally, if you're training for a high school cross country season, you're looking at foundational mileage. And so one rule that can be helpful is you're changing one variable at a time. So if you're increasing volume, you're not changing a million other things. You're not adding in Orange Theory workouts. You're not adding in, sprint sessions. You're just doing mileage. And the majority of that mileage should be conversational. It shouldn't be hard efforts. And if you accidentally do a hard effort, you run with someone and you realize you went too fast, well, maybe you take a little bit more recovery in those days following. Making sure that if you are cross training, which cross training is a great thing to take yourself off some of that high impact and pounding, that you are also fueling for your cross training. I think sometimes as runners, we think that all the other sports for some reason don't require energy, but they do because, they're competitive swimmers, they're competitive triathletes. These things still require energy. And for some reason, runner brain can think that it doesn't. So make sure that you are also fueling equally for those workouts. Make sure you're taking a day off. My general rule is day off a week. I think we get into big trouble when we're not taking that day off each week. And the way I like to describe it is, did you have a night you didn't sleep well this week? Did you not fuel perfectly one of those days? So that's kind of like your free-for-all catch-up, right? As well as the mental break, which I think is really important too. So making sure you're taking that day off and really, truly letting yourself rest from a physical and mental standpoint. And then making sure you're fueling before, during, and after your workouts. When I was a high school runner, it was like the cool thing to not drink any fluids and not consume calories because you didn't need it. It made you a harder an athlete. And we know that is just not the case. There are sometimes cases where we train those particular deficits. But in general, we want to make sure that we're getting nutrition during those time frames, and that really helps expedite recovery. As Kelsey will talk about, if you're making sure that you're getting readily available energy during your workouts, during your long runs, especially, you're taking in nutrition during that workout, and then you're getting good protein, carbs, a good post-workout meal. All those things are really going to help you recover. Every time you dive into that big deficit during the day, you've got to climb out of it. You've got to restore all of your storage molecules, and that takes a lot of energy, and that can really build up over time and cause major problems. And sometimes it doesn't cause problems during those 2 to 3 months over the summer. It causes problems right as you start your season. And so making sure that we're really thinking ahead and fueling ahead, recovering ahead, and being ready for the start of a competitive season without getting yourself into injury before that time.
So I think that all of us said essentially the same thing. Stay consistent and keep doing what you're doing, but don't go to all or nothing, which is, we were having a laugh about this earlier. All of us tend to be all or nothing, and we really have to work hard to be in the middle. And I think that's true of a lot of athletes. And so during this summertime, make sure that you're thinking about your body cues, making sure that you're consistently training so you don't jump into training too quickly, which is a major part of injury. And then also the nutrition piece, like both Kelsey and Sara have said, like, make sure that you're continuing to fuel. And I do think it's worth noting, running in the summer, like you said, Kelsey, maybe don't make it a mileage, make it a time, because our paces change in the summer. It's harder for us to run as quickly as we did when it's colder out, because our body systems have to keep up. So just keep in mind, like, all of those things are impacted by the environment, and don't beat ourselves up.
Yeah, training and even nutrition can look entirely different than how you associate successful training and nutrition to look like. But it's also like a fun difference than what you're doing when you are in season or when you are more dialed in. So just knowing that it can be productive, even if it's a little bit slower and you're arranging your training a little bit differently, or you're being more flexible with your food choices, or maybe now you have a little bit more time to prep something new and fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks very much, you guys. I don't think we need to do a roundup because we just did our 3 things during the episode. But everybody, if you like this episode, or you want to learn more about injury, specific running injuries, or just injury in general, please pass this podcast on, listen to our other episodes. The more we spread the word, the more people we can help, and we can dispel myths about running and just keep everybody out there. So follow us, like us, whatever you do with the podcasts that help build it, that would be great. And then also, if you have specific questions that you want answered, or you have a case that you want help with, go ahead and email us at runcasemiles@gmail.com, and we will get back to you, and maybe we'll even put your case on one of our episodes. So have a great summer, and we will talk with you soon. Bye, everybody.